Hello Niharika, welcome to my channel.
Hello, ma'am.
I'm very glad to have you here. To introduce Niharika to everyone, she's a class 12 student, and she went to Japan on a cultural exchange program for 2 weeks. She has been studying Japanese for a long time, for almost 5 years now. And I wanted to bring her on board with me and introduce her to everybody, basically to understand on her visit to Japan, what are the cultural differences that she encountered? What are those things that she observed which are very different from India? I thought it will make a very interesting case study. So, Niharika, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Niharika Mahesh Ambekar. I am from Nagpur, India. I'm 18 years old. I love to dance and I have performed over 8 years in the Indian classical dance form Bharatanatyam. I also love to learn Japanese language, and I have also got an opportunity to visit Japan for a cultural exchange program in 2017. And I like to do different activities and challenge myself to try new things. Thank you.
Wow, Niharika, you are so talented. So I did not know you are a professional dancer also for 8 years. That's a long time. So Niharika, although there is a lot that I want to know about you, but today's session, what we will do is we will focus more on your experience in Japan. So Niharika, do you want to tell us how long were you in Japan and how did you go there, and what all did you do during your trip to Japan?
I went to Japan through a scholarship from Japan Foundation in a Haku scheme. So the name of the program was the 8th Japan Experience Program for Overseas Children as a part of Haku scheme for Global Children's Japanese Language Network. So it was basically a program to introduce Japan to students all over the world. So as in, I was selected from my country, including 3 students from my school and my Japanese language teacher. So we went to Japan in 2017 on 13th April, and we stayed there for 2 weeks. And likewise, us Indians, there were students from other 13 countries with their respective teachers.
Oh,
We
wow.
had,
So you had the opportunity to meet students from 13 different countries.
yes, it was a nice multicultural experience.
That's great. So what all countries were participating apart from India?
There were, for example, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Australia, Brazil, and other countries.
So is it common to see so much of multiculturalism in Japan? I mean, being in India, it's very difficult to come across people from so many different nationalities.
It was a very wonderful experience, as in Japan, we get to meet a lot of people and share a lot of ideas with different people from different countries. So yeah, it was very great to see all of them together in Japan.
Okay, great, great, Niharika. Thank you. So it must have been the first trip for you to Japan, right? After studying Japanese for so many years. So what were your first impressions of Japan? Was there anything that you expected and it turned out very different from your expectations?
Um, yeah, like as in common, we see foreign countries as very vast and very fast forwarding, fast cars, tall buildings. It was all like that. And the fun fact is that when we went, it was just the end of the spring season, and our Japanese instructor told us that you won't be seeing any sakura trees there. I mean, what's the point if you went to Japan and you don't see sakura trees?
Okay.
But to our surprise, as soon as we landed Japan and we were going to a airport hotel, every single road on Japan was filled with sakura trees, and it was so beautiful and delightful and mesmerizing experience.
Okay. So Sakura is, what is very clear in your memory about the scenery in Japan.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you remember? The first impressions of Japan? Is there
Yeah.
anything else you want to talk about other than Sakura?
It was very clean. Uh,
Clean, yeah.
yeah, it was very clean, and as in India, we have so many cars and so many noise pollutions because of that. Nothing like that was seen in Japan. It was so silent, so mild, and no horns were seen on the road. So that was very impressive when you first visit anywhere.
So, Niharika, what was your schedule like for these 2 weeks? What all did you do there?
Firstly, we went to different schools to visit how the Japanese education system is and schooling system is. Then we did a visit to whole Tokyo. We visited many of the monuments. We visited many buildings and other things. And also the main part of it, that we went to the temples that was so different from what we see in India, yet so similar to what we have inculcated from our culture. So yeah, visiting temples were one of the things, and kimono trials, where and we also went to art museums, and we also did homestays, and all these things were included in the 2 weeks program. And also Japanese lectures were the main part of it.
Okay, great. So it was a very wholesome experience from what I can gather. Especially, if you stay with a host family, if you do a homestay, I think, you are exposed to their daily living. And that is a very good, opportunity to really understand their culture, right? But I want to understand because being an academic consultant, I am obviously more interested in knowing what are the differences in education system that you found when you visited schools there. Is there anything very different from India that you observed?
Yeah, there were many points that I got to note. And one of the main thing was that all the classes, like all the classrooms in Japanese schools, are on the right side.
Oh,
So that is a part of the manufacturing of the Japanese schools. So that was really a new and surprising thing for us. And also they have such big gymnasiums for students to practice many activities there. So the gymnasium is very very keenly designed, so it was very impressive. And
oh, so
also,
you mean that there is a lot of focus on physical activity?
yeah, they have different kind of sports playing opportunities in their schools. And we also got to try many kind of music instruments, dancing things. We acted drama, and we also played sports in their grounds. So they have a specific set areas for schools, that you will have this much ground and this much classrooms or this much places for students, so they can visit it, or they can play there, or they can do their research. There was also one more interesting thing, that the meal system. Japanese students themselves serves the foods to their other classmates, and we all ate together in the Japanese classrooms. And as we mentioned in our form before coming to Japan, that Indian students, or like we students who came to Japan, were non were not eating non-vegetarian food. So they especially arranged vegetarian food for Indian students. The most part we worried was that what would we be eating in Japanese schools, as we are not non-vegetarians. But they really took a good care for it, and they arranged vegetarian food for us. And we all were talking and sharing ideas happily while having our Indian food and lunch together with them.
So you mean that they serve students serve food in Japanese schools?
Yeah, they have those canteens where people prepare them the food, and they take it from the canteen and take it into the classroom. They have duties distributed, that each week these students will go and take the food from the canteen and took it to the classroom and serve it to all the students. So this make a person really self-sustainable and teaches you to not depend on anyone else for any kind of work.
And how old were these students?
The students were of our age, 14 to 15 years when we went there.
Okay. So, this is very surprising because in India, what I usually see around me is that students don't really participate. In that age, they don't participate in the kitchen, right? They don't cook or they don't serve. So, I think from what I have heard, that there are nutrition classes also in Japan. So, they're taught about nutrition also, but that's for another time, so which is very good. So we hear that Japanese live for so many, their life expectancy is very high and they live so much longer than other nationalities. But I think part of it is because of their nutrition habits. They are taught from the very beginning the importance of nutrition, and um, they also are brought up that way. In their schools the meal system is so good, it's so healthy that they learn to eat a balanced meal every time. All right, so that was about schooling. Anything else that you want to mention about schooling, or basically I want to understand, is there any special memory that you have about Japan, or any remarkable difference in our culture, or anything special that you still carry with you from that trip?
Every single moment we spent in Japan, the people, their humbleness, their politeness, and their dedication towards preserving their culture, that they too eat together with their family. They go to all their temples. Um, as we were people from so many different countries, we were we didn't know anyone's languages. We didn't know how each one felt, but through all the activities that Japanese people arranged for us, we really got so well together. And at the last day of our program, when we had our farewell, no single one, nobody wanted to leave from Japan, as we were so bonded with each other. So yeah, that was the special thing. From bowling in Japan, it was my first time bowling in Japan with all those students and Japanese students. So it was a little competition arranged for everyone, that we went for bowling, and the student who scored the high points and the student who scored the lowest points got prizes. And even if I scored the lowest prizes, I still got the same prize as the person who scored high in bowling. So it was actually a cheerful experience for us.
Oh,
And
great.
also when we went by when we the special memory was for I first time I sat in a bullet train. So all the ticket system and how we should see the map while traveling the train was important. And it was a very impressive thing we saw that. And also a new thing, that small children were also traveling to trains alone. So the safety point of view was so great there. The safety was so well maintained, as it was one of our most feared thing, that we are going to go to a new country. So would it be safe for us to, travel alone there? But as soon as we stepped on the roads of Japan, everything was so good for us that we didn't even fear crossing the roads alone. Even the car would stop for us to let us go first, and then they would go. So this was the most important thing that I would like to mention here, that people are very considerable there. They respect even the smallest person, and they talk so humbly to everyone. Their speeches are also distributed respectfully for each age group. And also I feared that we would have communication problems, as everyone was new there. But they were so accepting, they were so open minded, and they helped us to be comfortable communicating with them, even when we knew a little bit of Japanese at that time. So that
Mhm.
was very impressive. Okay. One of the special memories was from our farewell that Japanese people had arranged for us. So we were all meeting and having a get together, as we were all going to say goodbye to each other. So people from every country, and also Japanese students whom we visited, we all came together and had a really good time of our lives. We were celebrating, we were having our dinner, we were playing different games. There were also PPT behind us where we were showing how much memories we gathered together in all those 14 days, and it was so good. And the best part of it was that when we stayed at the homestay, the families with whom we stayed came to visit us at that time. We were really shocked and we were not expecting if we could ever see them again. So they came, they talked with us, we really had a great time together. And before returning, as the Japanese host families were leaving first, they all had tears in their eyes while saying us goodbye, as if someone from their own family was leaving forever. So the emotional attachment was so strong at that time that no one could hold on to their tears, and everyone literally started crying that we all are actually leaving tomorrow. So it was a really great experience that I had. It was a really great memory, and it will always be special for us.
Thank you, Niharika, so much. I think Japan as a country, it is known so much for its hospitality. They can really make you feel special. So you've mentioned many times in your interview that they're polite and humble, but at the same time, they have a lot of respect for everyone, no matter what work you do, no matter what age you are, but they're respectful to everyone, and that is what is very surprising. After hearing your experience in Japan, many of us would be motivated to visit the country again, even if it is for a short visit. You have applied to a Japanese university. So I want to know, Niharika, what was your motivation to learn Japanese for so many years and to apply to a Japanese university? Is there any message that you want to give to students? So all these questions, I have on my mind. Do you want to talk about that? Why did you learn Japanese? Why did you enroll to a Japanese university? And what you're looking forward to?
I had Japanese language as a subject during my high school. So since then, I was a little bit keen towards knowing about the new language. It was so interesting and surprising knowing about such a vast culture and a great country. So as we were learning, I got this opportunity to visit Japan through my scholarship program, and it was that age when students don't know what actually they want to do in their life, or they are on the way of deciding things what they really are interested in. So at that time of life, I got an opportunity to visit Japan, to visit different culture, to experience a new lifestyle, and that really proved as a turning point in my life. And after experiencing Japan, after experiencing the schooling system in Japan, after experiencing such a multicultural experience, that was the thing that kept me going up until now, to imagine my future in Japan. As as in everything was so beautiful, the whole experience, the spent that I have spent in Japan, it was so beautiful. And there are people with humble nature, there are people who talk with you so politely, the cities are clean, the roads are clean, and everything is so safe. You never feel like you are out in another country. And also you get to explore more of yourself as you share your ideas with Japanese people, and also all the people worldwide who come to Japan to study. And as it is a growing country, we should really appreciate that Japan has succeeded in uh, making cultures come together. And I really want to have that multicultural experience again and see myself growing around the Japanese backgrounds. So I would really suggest and recommend studying at Japan to other students, that you will really get to know a lot more about Japan and the whole world when you actually step on Japanese land. It is so beautiful. It is so mesmerizing everywhere. You get to explore and develop more of yourself and see yourself growing when you actually uh, participate in their activities or involve in Japanese things.
Thank you, Niharika. Thank you for joining us today. I'm sure whatever you do in life, you will do great. I'm sure students, whoever heard you, they heard your confidence, they heard the great experience you had in Japan, and you are inspiring a lot of people to learn Japanese and to visit Japan for whatever reasons it could be. Thank you. Thank you, Niharika, for today.
Thank you.